All right, so this next question came into our site from Jasper. Thank you very much for submitting that. The question is, if spend is no issue, wouldn't that be nice, right? Do you think that A9 favors campaigns that have higher budgets because of the potential to spend more? Well, and then the second question is having some spend issues, wondering if it's related to budgeting. First of all, A9 is not the ad auction. Those are two different algorithms. A9 refers to the organic ranking algorithm. So semantics, I realize, and there's not actual a name for the ad auction algorithm, but there is some overlap, but there are some differences as far as how they treat things like content relevance and that type of thing. Anyway, back to your question, Jasper. So if spend is no issue when it comes to advertising, do you think that the algorithm favors campaigns that have higher budgets because of the potential to spend more? 4 or 5 years ago, it did. We used to jack up, budgets up to $800-900, and we would get more traffic as a result. Since then, there's been a lot more competitors come on and a lot more diversification in the ad platform, and generally we don't see where that really makes any difference. Now, in unique situations, in smaller product niches, in certain cases, we might see where if I went from a $20 budget up to a $200 budget, I might get a small bump in the amount of traffic. But that's not enough to justify, I certainly don't spend the $200. In other words, Amazon does not spend that $200 even if I gave it to them. When you're first starting out, when you're first launching campaigns, especially if this is your first year selling on Amazon, don't go aggressive on your budgets. Just use something like a $20 daily budget. Supplement by setting up an account. In other words, an ad account cap. In other words, your ad account for all of your campaigns has a setting for setting either relying on the per campaign daily average budget, which is not a cap, or actually setting an overall cap so that your total ad spend each day is actually limited, which is something you definitely want to put into place. But what that means also is that you could go in and you can say, well, I'm going to set a high budget on a campaign. Again, I don't think you're going to get what you think you're going to, except for very rare situations where you might actually spend a little bit more, but you're certainly not going to spend everything. Generally, what we can do is we can increase the bid if we're seeing where we're getting additional sales, and of course profitable sales. We can scale that up by going more aggressive. That's certainly something we do within my agency. Is when we get to the campaigns to a point where they are profitable, then we start looking how do we scale that up by being more aggressive with budget, with additional audience, with additional targeting, taking over market share, these kinds of things. And usually what that does is spends more budget, but it's usually across multiple campaigns. So again, it doesn't really affect an individual campaign that much. Now, on the opposite side of this, I will say one caveat to that is that don't go too restrictive. If you've got a $5 budget, $2 budget, I've seen $1 budgets before, that can be so restrictive that Amazon will limit the ads showing. So generally what I would say is that start out with a $20 budget and then work from there.